Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Michele Marck Knitwear, and today we're going to look back at episode 9 where I covered my Pharaoh challenge, and also I'm going to talk about we've completed the turban, so I'm quite happy with that. So today we're going to talk about where I decided, because the sleeves were too big, to undo both sleeves and rebuild them with not so many gathers, and it actually worked. So I was quite happy with this in the end, and because we didn't use as much wool, I managed to knit a bobbly hat to match. It's a bit on the big side, but as my husband said, if you wear it with a big collar like this, it looks quite cute. And I have like a little bobble making frame, so that was my first attempt at making a little pom-pom, so it goes quite well. So yeah, so that's it. That's that one completed project. Yeah, so I was quite pleased with that. Next, obviously last time when I spoke, I introduced you to this little number, which is my little lace cardigan. I don't really enjoy doing lace, but I particularly like this pattern, so I decided to just have a go. As I've mentioned before, I have knitted it in another colour, but because I had exactly the wool, the lavender wool that actually was meant to be used for the pattern, I thought, well, it was just destined that I knitted it in this wool, and I love this. It's beautiful. I use vintage buttons, which are perfect colour and just go well, and I've got little vintage blouse on underneath, because I do love my vintage blouses. So yeah, so I'm quite pleased with the little turban. Did actually take me quite a while, considering, because with turbans you knit it in two pieces, and there's lots of increasing, decreasing, and it can be quite complex, and it's not something you can just sit down over watch something on television or a film while you're actually knitting. So that is a challenge. So yeah, next on my agenda, I promised myself I'm going to be knitting more Pharaoh this year, and in a previous episode I wore this little number, which is a Best Way Pharaoh, which you can knit the matching cardigan with it if you want, but I've never knitted the cardigan, just the jumper. So I thought, as I didn't knit the sleeves as they should have been knitted when I did the blue one, I thought, well, I think I might knit this one again. So I decided on my colours. I love pinks and maroons and purples, so I thought I'll cheat and I won't do a colour swatch. I'll just guess what colours to use. Now, I know a lot of people say you must do colour swatches when you're doing a Pharaoh pattern, because you won't know what it's going to look like when you come to knit it. But I think how I've knitted it so far, I think it's come out quite well. So there we go. That's where I've got to so far on the front. And you can see the contrast. It just looks so different. Just by using different colours, you get a totally different look altogether. So I quite like that, because I didn't want it to look exactly the same as the one I'd done previously. So it just brings out different aspects of the Pharaoh depending on what colours you use. So if you use light colours, then it makes certain aspects fade and they're not so prominent. And as you can see, the O's, looks like an O, kind of stands out on this one. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with it. It is quite complicated because, and also I'm not one of these people that does it the modern way and weaves it in as I go along. So I have got a bit of work to do at the end, but I'm not worried really. I'm quite happy with that, and I'll probably leave it right to the last to weave them all in. It's quite therapeutic to do some weaving in, so that's what I'm going to do. Also, just to let you know, I find it quite helpful when I do ferrule to use these little things. So what you do is you wind on quite a few strands of it on one of these, this like little bobbin, and then I find it's good for when you're twisting as you're knitting. It gives a little bit of weight on the wool, so it just helps that you don't get your wool caught up. So yeah, I find these quite helpful. So I don't know if anyone else has used them before. They're quite cheap to buy, but yeah, I find that quite helpful to use those. Also, I've treated myself to some colour pencils. Now, the reason I've bought myself these colour pencils is because if I'm going to be knitting more and more ferrule, I like to just play around with colours. So this is going to help me with plotting out different ferrule designs. I've got numerous books with ferrule designs, so I can use those. If I see any sort of patterns that I like, then I will use these pencils to plot out the wall colours that I'm going to use. So I'm quite pleased with these. They only came in this, but I've actually ordered a little case that they fit in. They'll fit in nicely. So that's those. So that's another element of things that help me to do my projects. Also, at some point, when I've finished this ferrule, I might knit myself a little ferrule beret. Now, I've never knitted a beret before in ferrule, but I've had this book for ages. I've knitted a few things. It's Sarah Dallas Vintage Knits. It's got some really pretty patterns in it. I've knitted a few in here already, and some of them I will talk about in further episodes, but it's got a really nice beret in it, and I'm promising myself that if I've got enough wool, which I probably will have, I'm going to knit the beret, and that's quite pretty. Also gloves to match if I've got enough wool. So yeah, so that's the plan. Oh, just to let you know, this little sweater I've actually knitted. I knitted two of them. I kept one, but the other one I knitted in a sort of muted colours that I didn't really match my colour, my skin tones. So I decided to sell that. But yeah, so that's the plan. So enough to keep me busy. Hope you're all having a nice time. The weather's a bit miserable, so it's kind of that time of year where you just want to stay in and do your knitting. If you're like me, I'm always knitting. Every evening after supper, there I am sitting there until I get tired and it's bedtime, and then I just put it away and roll on the weekend. So it's Friday and I haven't started work yet, so I got up really early just to do this podcast because I knew it was going to be a long day. So I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and I look forward to catching up with you again soon, and hopefully the warmer weather will be on the way and brighter, because it's been very miserable here in the east of England. So yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be nice and bright soon. Anyway, so next time I'll see you, I'll probably have knitted a bit more of my ferrule jumper, and I'll show you how I'm progressing. And I'll see you again soon. Have a lovely weekend. Bye for now.